Welcome back, family. Welcome back. So this is part 4, talking about what happens when you die and how that connects to this hell realm. I think it's part of the soul trap mechanism. This is more of the off-world spiritual portion of it. So to state it plainly, I think that when you die and leave your body, that there's also a system, just like the systems that are here, that are designed to keep you entrapped here on this realm. And I'm going to break that down. So you have different sources. You have Forever Conscious Research Channel. You have Dan from Overwatch. You have an author named Michael Newton, a hypnotherapist, who can regress people into talking about what they call pre-birth memories. And then you have near-death experience cases. This is the bulk of the evidence that I have. There's an organization called IANDS, IANDS. This is like hundreds, I think there's thousands of people who have come together, who almost died, who are pronounced dead medically. That's the caveat. They have to be pronounced dead medically, and somehow came back to life and are telling the stories of what happened to them during the time between them dying and being brought back to life. Now, I just want to give you sources because I don't want to be the YouTuber that's going around acting like this is something new that he or she put together. I like to give references. You can go check those few people out. Now, the trap that has to do with the spiritual trap. Let's get into it. It looks like there's a sequence of events that happen when you die, and all these people corroborate on the same kind of story. Yes, there are variations. Yes, it's custom tailored to people, but for the most part, this is what happens. Okay? Track with me. I hope y'all can appreciate how I'm trying to get more to the point, because I look back at my videos and I see that it looks like I ramble a lot. Like I think better than I can orate. So I'm gonna fucking get to the point. It looks like what happens is you die, your body, your spirit leaves your body, and the first thing to happen is either a tunnel, a light, a point of light, or some like destination in the far off that you are drawn to. I want to make sure that you understand that this is not something that most people go to. It's either you think you're willingly go, but if you decide that you want to chill, you will be drawn towards it, especially the tunnel. Some people just outright say, I was in a tunnel, I had no control, I was moving towards it. We see this a lot in the movies. The light at the end of the tunnel is a phrase that we use in our everyday, sayings. And so you go to this light. What normally happens after that, I'm just giving you the sequence. This is over 100 or I don't know the exact number. They say in the thousands. To the T, this is what happens. They can corroborate that some kind of guide comes to meet them in most cases. These guides could be anything. Again, custom tailored. It's either a family member. If you're religious, it'll be some kind of religious figure, Jesus, an archangel. Whatever your religion is, something will come. I've heard from people from all types of walks of life and faiths. If you're non-religious, it will come in some other form. Some guy had like a cloud being. Another guy had some kind of logical, mathematical being flitting around come to talk to him. It doesn't matter. It'll be tailored towards you. And around this time, the key point of all of this happens. And this is called the love bomb. Now, in this area of people that are researching this is the key thing to look at. The love bomb, what is it? Around this time, when you meet your guide, after going towards some kind of light, or the guide escorting you to some kind of light, you feel the greatest love that you've ever felt in your entire life. Again, almost to a T, everyone says it's indescribable love. It's something that cannot be explained. A lot of the women repeat this all the time. They say, picture the love that you have for your child. You can times that by 1,000. People stand in this love light thing and feel like they're going to explode. It's so powerful. And most of the NDE cases that I see, it brings them to tears. And it gives them a sense of longing. Like they don't want to be here. They would rather be back where they just came from and that they felt this love. This is, again, you would have to go look up ions and go research all of these people. They cannot all be lying. And so the love bomb, in my estimation, a lot of people who are looking into this seem to have a potential. If you had a power like that, it has a potential to be something that is not benevolent. I'm going to explain that later. Okay, so after the love bomb, this is what happens. You get something called a life review. And during this life review, you pretty much either see a screen or you're like in a 3D rendering, which is, people claim that it's exactly like it's real to life. Like picture a video game, but it's real to life. Like I'm standing right here now driving, or you're doing whatever you're doing, and you can see in a 3D panorama, but you can't obviously, interact or change anything. And they're showing you, for the most part, dig this, all the things that you did that caused harm and was negative. And so you go through this life script. They show you a few things that you did that were good, but most of it is bad things. And so if you're a douchebag and you did a whole bunch of bad and negative things to people in the realm, you can feel not only relive exactly your feelings at the time, you can sense the feelings of the other person or persons in that simulation. And this is supposed to be a tool to, give you empathy. I get it. It makes sense. If you were abusive and you did something to somebody and you didn't feel any remorse for it in the real life, and now you can feel exactly the sadness or the ripple effect that it caused them through their life. They do that a lot of the times. Like they'll follow the other person and see how that one comment that you made influenced them in hopes of making you a better person. I'm just walking through the process that we're going to chop up. After this is done, this is the part where it gets fishy. Most people have a memory wipe. They cannot remember anything past this. You go into a light, and whatever happens at the end of that, you come back here. Some people come back here willingly. Some say that they didn't want to come back, but they cannot remember the moments, most of them, that lead up to them being drawn into the light. Okay? And so at the end of it, they come back. That's the process, according to multiple people. Forever Conscious Research Channels goes through these cases on a weekly basis just to let y'all know that we're not bugging. So with me describing the process, let's go through some things to think about. The first thing I want to say is, almost to a person, there are none, I repeat, none that want to come back here. According to what the tales that they're telling us, it seems like you are just like yourself here. You're just at a higher state. People come out the body and they just feel like they're clearer, they know more, they understand more, they're clear thinking, but it's still them. It's still whatever your name is. If you're Robert Smith watching it, it's still you, Robert Smith. It's not like you just became some kind of holy being. You're just now in spirit form. You're thinking the same thoughts. You're looking at your body for the most part. You're like, holy shit, etc., etc. Again, the amount of information that you can get from these videos. I could probably do a 3-hour thing, a 3-hour video explaining all the different intricacies. But so you're a higher version of yourself, and to a T, none want to come back. And so what happens is you have to question that. Nobody wants to come here willingly. I repeat, nobody. And this doesn't just include near-death experiencers. This includes pre-birth memories. Pre-birth memories, quickly, are just, that would be Michael Newton's work. Michael Newton is an author that wrote Destiny of the Souls and Journey of the Souls. Read those 2 books. Which, quick story, what happened is he's a psychiatrist. He's a person that can hypnotize people. And he didn't mean to do this. He's treating people for their trauma. And a long time ago, in the 50s or 60s or whatever, he regressed people so deep that they started telling him information on what was happening before they died. The age-old question that we all ask. And so what was happening was people were telling where they were, and they were in these schools, they were in these soul schools, and it was a good time, and it felt great. And it felt like they had family, they had way higher intelligence, and they tell us stories of the events that led them up to coming into the womb. Pre-birth memories. Now, you would have to go read that book. It's a lot, and it's intense. And he has verifiable cases that you can go check. Again, in the hundreds. Nobody wants to be or come here. That should be the first red flag, okay? I think I've made that clear. Let's move on. At some point, these people that don't want to be or nobody wants to come here or be here. I said that they're coerced. Somehow, they're coerced into coming here. Now, here's the thing with the body of evidence I want to address real quick. I'm trying to move along as fast as I can. There's a thing called corroborated evidence. For the people that have been listening to me and it's like, man, this is kind of like out there. I get it with the previous 3 videos, right? Like, that stuff can't be proved. With this stuff, if you are in law enforcement, shout out to Dan, he pointed this out to me. If you're in, Dan from Overwatch, if you're in law enforcement, you have something called corroborative evidence, which means that even though you don't have traditional evidence, you don't have actual physical proof, you don't have eyewitnesses, you don't have eyewitnesses or video footage, you don't have anything that you can bring to court, you can use corroborated evidence. It's not the strongest, but what it is if more than 3 random people can attest to the same thing happening, you can use their testimony, if it's super similar, to be presented as a body of evidence. And so I say to you, like, it's easy to discount 1 or 2 people, but when you have a group of people who have died and come back, and they all have kind of the same events happening over and over, and you still say, no, that's wild and I don't believe it, I don't know, I would say to you, simply, that's not being open-minded. It doesn't make sense that you would toss that away so easily. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. So where I was picking back up is, I think that the love bomb goes hand in hand with the other tools of the Matrix in terms of the mind wipe and the reincarnation trap. These 3 things go so well together. It's so simple and so elegant to get you to come back here. It seems like the goal is to get you to come back here. Remember, I said yesterday that I believe that we were, based upon what I've learned and read, I think that we played the game a long time ago and we agreed to forget, and that has not served us well because now we can't remember and we're trapped. So what do you have when you have beings in consciousness that have forgotten all of it? And you have a system of reincarnation. You're making sure that they come back. You have a mandatory mind wipe for you to come down here under the guise of it being you need a fresh slate to live your life correct. And you have what I think, outright I'll just say, is a spiritual technology. I do not know what it is, and this is my opinion, of something like an all-powerful love bomb that will render anyone putty in your hands. Now you got to think about this just psychologically. Most of us here, love is the main ingredient. We are at our core mostly love. We grow under love. I don't have to make that whole, I don't have to make that whole new age spiel, right? You know that if you don't give love to children when they're at a young age, they come out with all types of mental disabilities and social disorders and anxieties. And so I'm just saying we need love, and we're mostly love. We strive for relationships, we strive to be accepted, etc., etc. Again, these mothers claim that the love that they're hit with when they meet these guides are hundreds of times more. They can't explain it. If you watch most of these people that are talking about the love bomb, it brings them to tears. And here's the thing, once you get hit with that love bomb, you cannot tell them that this is not a benevolent thing. Most of these people believe that their incident that happened to them was a genuine thing. I'm just saying, I don't know for sure, but I think I'm 60-40. You understand? I'm probably 70-30 to say that the love bomb is not, well, the whole process is not on the up and up. And so you get this love bomb, you're putty in these people's hands, and at the end of it, you go to a light and you're white. Now, this is a key right here. Even with the deepest of hypnotic regression, there are blocks of the memory that people cannot remember. Let me say that again. Even with the deepest of hypnosis, there are blocks of information that people cannot remember. And they'll remember that they can't remember. They'll say, well, something happened there, but I don't have access to that. Not to get spooky, Michael Cooper in his book even talks about times where he's gone so deep into the regression that he claims, this is not my claim, other entities, he says maybe a watcher or maybe their guardian angel will come in through the session and talk to him and ask him, who is he and what is he prying for? I swear, you don't got to believe me. We don't have to believe Michael Newton either, but this is what he claims. Again, he has the documents and the paperwork and the tapes. He used to have some videos up on YouTube. I don't know if you can still see them now, of the people being regressed. What I'm trying to say to you is, up until the time that you go to this light and get mind wiped, it looks like memory blocks are cut off from you for you remembering here or even remembering up there. And you just do the process over and over again. And so, in totality, that's what this whole system is. I'm going to put it in summary. It looks like we have a reincarnation cycle. This is what it is. Up there, when you leave, is what the Tibetan Book of the Dead calls the bardo. You have an in-between place. You die. You don't have a second to yourself. This is, shout out to Mark from Forever Conscious. You don't have a second to yourself to gather or just sit there and take it in. Immediately in your confused state, imagine this. Imagine you're born into this world. You just died. You don't have no time to process. and assimilate before you're vacuumed up into some kind of tube or to a light, and somebody comes to greet you right away and tells you to come with them. You go through a whole process. You start remembering some stuff. That's what they say. They remember being here before, in other lives. You go through this life review, which is pretty much a guilt trip. One guy reported that like they showed him something that he did when he was like 1 year old, where he took a toy from another kid and showed them how it harmed the kid. They'll find something for you. If your life was too good, then they'll say that you needed to take more risks, according to all the things. It's a game of playing both sides, and the end goal is to get you to come back. So you get guilt tripped. And then at the end of that, in the life review, after some people say they get to, when they come back, the near-death experiencers, I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, you get guilted, you go through the process of the life review, and then there's a block of time missing. This is almost to a T in all of these NDE cases. Now, at this time, I think I've been over 50 plus NDE cases. This is where my research has led me to now. And I can tell you that all of these cases are so similar that it's like, okay, well, there seems to be at least a system. We can agree that there's a system. Even if you think that it's benevolent, there's a system that's going on outside of here. And I would say to you, don't just take my word for it, or the people and the sources that I gave you. Go to the IAND page. It's something near death, IAND, which is a coalition of people that have come together who have all experienced this, and they felt isolated, and they meet and tell their stories, and they can all kind of corroborate each other. I'd like you to go and listen to all of the accounts and see if there's not something there that you can maybe look into. And so to wrap it up, I think that's what's going on. There are many people. The Tibetan Book of the Dead tells you about. I mean, that's what kind of got me on this video series. It tells you about the bardo, and that don't go to the light. It says that they're false lights in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, written a long time ago, and that you should try to stay away from it. And then it gives you steps on what to do to avoid those lights and go to the correct light. It has a whole bunch of stuff that you may or may not understand with deities visiting you, but it says that all the deities that are going to come to visit you, you have to resist. I'm just throwing that out there. This is a book written by the Tibetans, the Bardo Photo. They talk about the Bardo, the in-between place. Go read that. And so, I hope y'all understand what I'm saying in summary. And thank you for, being on this journey with me so long. I think each video I gotten a little bit better because I watched them back and I'm like, shit. I think better than I orate. But it looks like we have a planetary and off-planet or other dimensional coordinated effort with the goal of making you come back here. Now, I know the question automatically is going to be, well, why do they need us to come back here so much? And I guess this would be for the random person who hasn't been studying these things, because if you are in any kind of consciousness space, that should be obvious. It is literally like the movies tell us. We're a battery source. We're a power source. I'm going to make a video on that, playing on the, like, this is the duat. This is putting one force against the other in order to generate energy. In all walks of life, in politics, the social media, men versus women, regular gender people versus transgender, LGBTQ versus straight people. The list goes on and on and on. This is a place to generate energy, and the energy is used as some kind of source, some kind of fuel. Robert Monroe wrote a couple books, but Far Journeys, he talks about, again, you probably, if you've been looking into this, you've heard of the term loosh. So what I think I'm going to do is make one more video to dig deeper into why do they need us? Why do they need us in hell? Why do the people that have created this hell need us? And who are they? I gave you a little bit of insight into it in my earlier video, where I was like, they're us. They're just us who have polarized towards the negative. And by us, I'm not talking about, well, maybe a long time ago they were third density beings like us. Remember in my other video I told you the history. We seem to be third density beings that had memory and capability and did great things, and at some point we decided to forget. So these are the guys that we left behind, or we consented to manage the game. And they saw a loophole where they could gain some power, and they've degraded themselves. And that's why you have this. All the lore that you've heard about false matrices and a world within a world, and square in a circle and circle in a square, that's what this is. It's just high technology. If any of those terms flew over your head, not flew over your head, if any of those terms you didn't understand, I hate that term. Conscious niggas be like, oh, it flew over your head. Like, shut up. If any of those things you're not up on, then you know it's okay. What I'm trying to say is the game somehow is about going against what is the natural version of it, if that makes sense to these people. So that's where we are. We're in a realm of contrast. None of this information changes the other esoteric information. Everything else is still what it is. It's just that this is the grand deception. It's still a place of unimaginable beauty in it. And you have to understand, for like a logical hell, you would have to have a balance. Remember what I said, it's a cycle. Well, anyway, without getting too philosophical, because I've talked about that already, that's where I'm at. We're in a systematic on-planet and off-planet machine. And the game is to keep us here. So thanks for following me so far. In the next video, and it'll probably be the last, we will address some questions and deal with why we're needed, the mechanism of how us being here, our energy is used, that needs to be understood, and some positive outlooks and things that I can't say the things that you can do. I have things that I'm planning to do at the end of this shit, and I'll share it with you. And so stay tuned. I'm gonna film that probably in the next couple minutes. Peace. This is M's in the Grid. Hope you're having a good day. Later.